can always go back home.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys about Married at First Sight. We're dealing with Bree and we're dealing with Vincent. Now, I told you guys about this couple. I let you know straight from the easy, baby, that listen, things are gonna pop off the way they did. Now, is Bree being too smart Alec and being a bit smart with her comments to hurt Vincent, or was Vincent being a little bit oversensitive? Let's discuss that.
That I'm gonna tolerate when someone is putting me down. I don't like it.
In this next review of the episode, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you. Stay locked, stay loaded. And for those of you who are returnees, well, you got the minerals. You got the minerals. Well, that note was off, but anyway, let's get it going. But before we start, stay hydrated. So obviously with the Bree and Vincent, I want to break it down from what actually happened. So the question I want to first ask is, what does Vinny mean? Because we didn't get a clear articulation of what she meant by what does Vinny mean. So a lot of us have kind of interpreted on both sides, but obviously Vinny himself had his own interpretation. He made an interpretation of what is Vinny. It is Vinny an idiot? Is that what you're trying to say, right? And the reason why I believe he came with that conclusion is two things. One, it may be his own insecurity in terms of how he views himself towards Bree. Bree is an established engineer. She's gone to school. She's, well accomplished. So it's not like she has it's not like she isn't educated. She's well educated, and in some sense he may feel inferior in that particular perspective. The other alternative is to also look at the fact that maybe she really did make that comment in a smart way about something where she was nitpicking, because we know already she doesn't like to pick up after people, right? Cleanliness is something that she likes a lot. So this could have been a very smart, snarky, snide comment that was made inside of a joke, and actually really had real repercussions, or real intention behind it, but it was hidden behind a veil of a smart comment.
That I had spilled champagne on my shirt, instead of you like, hey, let me grab you a towel, paper towel or something, you say, oh, how Vinny of you.
So the Vinny comment that we got given, what was interesting is what happens when that comment is brought up. So when he says, obviously, is Vinny an idiot? Listen to what she does not say. This is what is very, very key. What she does not say is more important than what she actually says. Listen to what she says. So when he says Vinny is an idiot, when she says, I'd never call you an idiot, and I'd never call someone an idiot. Does that mean he's not an idiot? Those of you who studied English, you know what I'm talking about. The fact is, she did not say he's not an idiot.
Vinny mean? Like, is Vinny like, not so intelligent? Is Vinny an idiot?
No, I would never call you an idiot.
Okay.
I wouldn't call anybody an idiot.
She said, I just would never call you an idiot, nor would I call anybody else an idiot. I think behind the scenes of Bree's mind, I think there is some form of, I don't want to say disrespect, but there's in her mind some level of, there is a difference in our, I want to say intelligence. Yeah, I have to say intelligence. No, let me keep it 100% real. There is a difference in our intelligence, right? And I don't think it's a black woman issue. It is a woman issue, and a male issue at times, when you think there is a distance between two different people, when you may consider yourself to be of a higher position to the other person, when there's a lack of humility there, when there's pride in there, this is what you get. So I know some of you might not like it, and let me put this caveat right here. Black women watching my show, some of you may be triggered by my review, and I do understand why you may be, because you may see yourself in Bree, but let me land. Let me land. So here's the thing. I searched on the internet what smart comment meant, or snarky comment, what that would mean, right? Because it was kind of hard to get that original phrase that she brought to the table.
I do say smart comments, but I'm usually like, it's in a joking manner. But I'm learning that he's a little more sensitive than I am.
right? So here's one of them. One of the things says, what is a snide comment? It is usually a remark that seems sarcastic, mocking, rude, or condescending. For example, when you ask a question and someone says, duh, everyone knows that, right? So that's one aspect of it. It's negative. There is no positive in that. I don't want to hear anything else, chat. That particular part. Smart ass as being another term close to having a smart comment. A smart ass is a more vulgar way to say smart mouth, someone who mouths off. If you're smart ass, smart mouth, smart aleck, you're someone who talks rudely. An example would be you talking back with a smug or stupid response. And normally smart asses are kids who decide they can say whatever they want to adults, but that's not the only type of smart ass. It's just a more common type of smart ass, right? So the person's even giving us a little example. Again, no positivity in it. Okay. Another definition is someone who is sarcastic in a cutting yet witty manner. A person capable of making a remark that could be interpreted as an insult or a joke, depending on the sensitivity of the listener and specific situation. A smart ass is not necessarily a bad person, just usually perceptive. So again, I wanted to focus on that last part of it. What it says a person capable of making a remark that could be interpreted as an insult or joke. It's a very touchy line to go down the smart. I make smart comments for banter. Because at a point you have to be able to discern whether when you were saying those smart comments, is it because you thought you were smarter than them? Is it because you thought that the person wasn't intelligent? Are you saying those things because you're trying to mock the person? I'm not saying that she actually did this, but I think there's a little bit of that feeling of being better than him in an area. Not that she's better than him overall. I think she respects him. That's 100%. But there's a little bit of being better than him in a certain area. And I think that's also because of, like I said, the environment that she comes from, being an engineer, having studied for years, things are about solutions to problems. It requires a very analytical mind. It can make you feel like you have a more advanced mind, or the way that you think is superior, or the way that you view other people in relation to you can be looked or frowned upon, right? Keeping it 100% true. And last kind of definition was that it is when someone thinks they are top S word, only to let their ego decide what comes out of their mind. So all in all, except for one definition, really, most of them had the same thing. It's a negative perception, right? But my point is this. When she says she makes smart comments, that Vinny comment came at a time which was really, I think it was a build up of issues. That was just a final buck and stop. But I said this would happen from the very first time we spoke about this. I've been saying it week after week after week. I got tired of even saying it, but I kept on saying it. You cannot be this way in a relationship. It won't last long. You can't keep making certain comments. You can't keep trying to dominate. You can't keep, especially if you're doing women to female. And the problem here that we've got with Vincent and Brianna is that there's an inverse of the particular energies that they run with. Vincent should be running with more masculine energy, and Bree should run with more feminine energy. But they've got a complete switch over, which I mentioned before, and she's operating more in the masculine energy and him in the more feminine energy. This kind of conversation usually happens the other way around. It's usually men who don't think about what they say, and they say something and the woman get offended. It's usually that way around. So you can see the masculine energy has switched, right? Because remember, the masculine energy is not concerned with emotions, it's concerned with solutions. Right? And that's why you're going to see in that conversation, I'll break it down, that she never gives an apology, because one of the things about masculine energy when it's toxic is pride. A heavy sense of pride, right? In not being wrong.
Can you give me an example?
I don't think I need to. I just want for you to show me some respect.
And what I would say is that at the very beginning of this conversation, it was problematic because he didn't want to give an example. That is a no-go. I'm sorry, if you're communicating and I ask you, what did I do wrong? You have every onus to open up and say, hey, this is what you did. And this is what I'm saying to you again. It is a flip again. This is the kind of thing that oftentimes happens to women. You might ask a lady, like your woman, like, babe, what's going on? Oh, I don't want to talk about it. No, she really wants to talk about it, but she's gonna try and drag it out a little bit because she want to get you to the thing, right? Because oftentimes men are the ones having to try, and they've done something wrong, and they said something wrong, and the woman's taking it a certain way, and then now you're trying to to get an answer from her, right? This is usually what happens to the other way around. This is what I'm talking about now. So the feminine energy here and the masculine energy are flipped. They're flipped. It's not about being right or wrong. It's just being flipped. You usually see it in men having to ask the woman what's wrong, right? And so what I would say about communication is this: the moment you say, I don't have to give an example, I don't have to give an example, you're beginning to operate in feelings when you should be operating and telling us the logic of what actually happened. What I mean by that is, give us the example. Where's the evidence? Point it out. I know you're feeling this way, but you have to point out the example so that people know exactly what you're talking about. At the moment, we can't see that thing, right? This is vitally important. So, he's got his back to her, she's lying down. So everybody's body language is off point. Everybody's body language in this is off point. She's lying down, looking at him. He's got his back to her. Everybody's body language is off point for having a really open-ended emotional conversation. It's off. And I think I said this in a live the other day. I said, when you're in an argument, you need your feminine energy from both parties, because now you're discussing emotions. When you're discussing the emotions, it's very important. When you finish the argument, then the masculine energy has to cover the feminine energy that's been shed abroad into that conversation and say, hey, I've heard you. So this is what's the next plan we're looking to do now? Okay, cool. The next time, we're going to make sure that we do X, Y, and Z, because the masculine energy is concerned with execution. So the masculine energy comes after the arguments happened, after you've discussed it and got all your feelings out there. The masculine energy comes back in to cover the feminine. Yeah, it's that simple, right? When he didn't want to show his face and say what was said, I said that right there, it's not good communication. It's poor. Right. So saying, I don't think I need to. I just want. I don't think I need to. I just want for you to respect me. How is she going to do that without you giving an example? So that's poor communication. You can't expect her to respect you and you not give an example, which is then lending to what I said about people pleasing and the lack of ability to communicate actually how you feel. You're not used to saying your emotions. You're not used to saying how you actually feel. You're not used to communicating these things out on your mind because you're scared that you hurt the other person. Okay, but it's really more about you don't have the heart to say the truth. You don't have the heart to say it as it is. And I don't mean being direct, I mean saying how you feel. And that's critical in a relationship. In order for me to let you learn, I have to let you know. Some of us have not been trained in that area. He needs to work on that, seriously. Because all that's happening is what I said would happen. Pile on, where people let several things happen. And he said it to Pastor Cal in his one-to-one with Pascal and Brianna, where he said, I'm a pretty laid-back person, but then obviously it gets to a point and I go off. Yeah, of course you would go off because you've let things pile up.
Bottle it up, and then all of a sudden, like, you snap on me or you got an attitude.
I don't like how you're turning this on me.
Why wouldn't you pile up? Why wouldn't you pile up? You've let everything get on top of you. You know what I'm saying? So when she said, obviously, look, I do respect you. I agree, she does respect him. I agree, she does respect him. I agree, she does love him. I agree, she does care for him. But what she's looking for, and this is again why I said about training, because part of what she's looking for is the pushback. Okay, so now, you see, in order for her to enter the feminine energy, she needs to be shown masculine energy from the male. What do I mean by that? In order for her to down the tools, okay, and this is not guaranteed because she could then reply back with masculine energy. In order for her to down the tools and enter her full femininity, she needs to have masculine energy that regulates very, very well. So for him, when he's hurt, there needs to be clear-cut, direct communication. Hey, Bree, let me talk to you quickly. He did it very well. Took her into private. Said, hey, look, I feel disrespected by what you've done. Then when you enter into the feminine, you enter into your emotions, say, hey, this actually made me hurt. I'm hurt by what you did, But it's all about clear-cut communication. And it's about the leadership of that communication. Listen, I've been there and I failed, so I'm not trying to bash nobody. I'm just letting you know. It's about the clear-cut, logical steps of that communication. Hey, let me pull you up. Okay, brilliant, let me pull you up. What you did there, let me explain to you where you went wrong. You said to me, Vinny, and in this moment, when you did that, I felt insulted because what I interpreted was X, Y, and Z. When you lead the conversation that way, she then has to, then now the onus is on her. If she decides that she's not going to go into her feminine energy and she goes into her masculine, you're gonna see it because she's going to go defensive.
Bro, like, I have disrespected you?
No. And I don't feel as if I have disrespected you. But if you feel differently, I don't want you to like...
Right? Rather than being open and receptive and saying, oh, okay, my bad. You know what? I didn't see it like that. Right? And it's going to take training for her to do because she's also very much used to having to probably defend her ideas because you do engineering, right? It's all about ideas too, right? You have to defend your ideas and your concepts and your you know, what you've planned and thought out, you know what I'm saying? And you have to be precise and measured. It's a whole thing. So I can understand that, you know, if it gets into a relationship, it can be very hard to turn off. But she needs to meet that masculine energy. At the moment, what she's meeting is a feminine energy where he's actually avoiding the conversation. Like, instead of explaining how he feels, he goes into the feminine energy, which is what women usually do when you're trying to say, hey, what's going on? And then they tell you about, and then they go into like what he beginning. Oh man, I feel like I'm repeating myself. What he at the beginning did was explore how he saw the energy, but did not explain what prompted the feeling. Like, what tangible evidence prompted the feeling. So when she doesn't see that, she went straight into the masculine. So what's wrong? Like, you're telling me that I'm gonna get frustrated here because the masculine energy doesn't deal with it. It doesn't deal with emotions. So it's like, when I say it doesn't deal with emotions, it doesn't mean it doesn't have emotions. It means that that's not its primary target. Its primary target is protection, servitude. You know, to give. It's not trying to end up on the emotional scale. Do you understand? So I definitely believe she respects him, but he's gonna need to be able to communicate clear cut. That doesn't mean you have to be direct. It just means you have to be clear cut, logically stepping it by step, and she will naturally come into her feminine energy. We hope. Do you know what I'm saying? It's some layers though. It takes some layers though to get to that point, right? And so finally he gives her the example of the t-shirt situation about how, you know, you instead of you grabbing me a new t-shirt, you know, you said about it being a Vinny thing, right? And so I understand. I'm like, okay, cool. So this situation came about because the drink was on your t-shirt, and she said, that's so cute, it's a Vinny thing. Now, I've read some people saying, obviously, they thought it was cute that she said that. I don't see it. I don't see it because the comment doesn't make sense. It's such a Vinny thing. What does that mean? And how do you know it's such a Vinny thing? That's why his original response was, but it's the first time I've done that. So that means that what he's trying to say is you've got a predisposed idea. Stay hydrated.
I mean,
What does Vinny mean? Like, is Vinny like...
What he's saying to her is, how can it be a Vinny thing if you've never seen it before? Which means that you already got a predisposed idea of what I'm going to be like. And that's why he was frustrated and saying that, listen, about respect me. I don't agree with everything he said. Let me be honest, I'm going to come to him as well. But I can see that being the reason why he understood that Vinny thing as being a problem. Do you know what I'm saying? So the dumb part, I'm not sure if you read that right, but that may be a little bit of insecurity kind of playing into it. But then again, like I said, her response kind of showed that maybe she does think he's a bit of an idiot. Maybe she does, you know, or maybe not as intelligent as she is, I should say, rather. And so, you know, she went on to say, obviously, I understand, but that's not what I meant, you know, and she's mentioned it one or twice now. And I was like, hold on a minute. Have you noticed that at no point has she apologized? She just obviously talking about when she mentioned, obviously, I understand, but it's not what I meant. And I want to say this very clear. Your intent versus impact is a different thing. And what I want to make clear is, if it's a manipulative person, scrap what I'm about to say. Scrap it. If it's a manipulative person, scrap what I'm about to say, because they will use this always against you. But if you got a genuine person, then your intent may not have been to come off a certain way, but the impact to the individual has come off a certain way, right? And whether you think they are being overly sensitive or nah, okay, that doesn't matter. Your intent came off differently to your impact.
And I don't feel as if I have disrespected you, but if you feel differently, I don't want you to like.
So you apologize for the impact. That I understand, but that's not what I meant. It's not apologizing or even fully acknowledging your impact. You're trying to defend your intent because you also don't want to seem like you're doing bad. And that's not what it means. What it means is what you did, unfortunately, hit different to what you thought it would hit as. Do you see what I'm saying? So for me, I was watching, I was like, oh man, yeah. He's not gonna receive that well at all because she's not acknowledging what's gone on. She's seeing it, but she's not saying, hey, look, you know what, my bad. Like I didn't realize I did that to you. Instead, she's trying to defend her point. And I think the reason why, again, is because she didn't feel she did anything wrong. As she mentioned herself, like, that was not my intent. That was not my intent. So she doesn't feel she did anything wrong. She's like, I don't feel I'm being disrespectful to you, etc., etc. But it's very similar to the last conversation that they had. Again, she didn't really apologize for, again, kind of being, quote unquote, I don't want to say assertive, I want to say being direct to a point where it became offensive to the person. So I feel like when it comes to admitting where she's kind of gone wrong, although she doesn't want to harm her partner, I think she struggles with that. Because listen, again, it comes from the environment that oftentimes that you're in as well. Like male orientated environments, they struggle to say sorry too. It's not about sorries. Like we fight and we get over it, brother. Yeah, and if you're used to that, then you may also be oblivious to the fact that in this moment, what you should have been doing is saying, like, I acknowledge the impact that I've made, and I am sorry for that. All right, that's not my intention, but I am sorry for the impact it made. Let me ask, why did it hit so different? Why is it that this particular thing hit you so hard? Is there an underlying reason as to why this is hit you a certain way? Then you give him space to be able to communicate and open himself up. There is no safe space at this moment. I'm just going to be honest with you. There is no safe space at this moment. For either of them, I don't think really too tough. Because he needs to be also asking the question, okay, can I ask you a question, Bree? Why are you so direct? What have you experienced that's made you so direct? And Bree needs to ask him as well, like, okay, what's happening to you that, me saying that comment, set you off or triggered you? Like, is there something that's happened in the past before? And you need to give that person room to be able to answer. Both parties need a safe space. At the moment, they're not getting it. The laughing and kicking and cacking, I'm enjoying it, but you're not having no safe space between both parties at the moment. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's a lack of transparency and honesty to a point where both parties can really benefit. And then so he's when he says obviously don't flip it onto me, because she says obviously about the fact that she doesn't want him to flip onto her. I did feel like she kind of, instead of addressing the fact that, hey, you've hurt me, she changed it to, okay, and I think it's a valid point to make, by the way. What she said is a valid point to make, but the timing,
bottle it up, and then all of a sudden, like, you snap on me or you got an attitude.
I don't like how you're turning this on me.
Showed me that you weren't going to take accountability for the impact you made. Oh, I don't want you to flip out on me. Yeah, no, listen, we don't want him to flip out on you. I honestly don't. And we see there's fear there because she said it to Pascal, I don't want him to flip out on me, So there's fear there for her. And she may be feeling like she's being minimalized at this moment, right? She may be feeling like, oh, I can't say anything because every time I say something, he's sensitive. But you need to ask why he's sensitive. That's the most crucial part. And he too needs to ask why you're so direct. But I felt like at that moment, she didn't have to address it just then because she hadn't acknowledged the impact. So when you dodge the impact and go to, I don't want you to flip out on me, you have done what he said. You've changed the narrative to make it about him rather than dealing with the issue there and then. You've done that. And you've used it as a makeshift weight to try and balance the scale. I don't want to answer the question, so I'm going to make it about, I don't want you to flip now. sis, just answer, just admit that the impact was wrong. The impact that happened was different. It was not the way that you thought it was going to end up. And so here, the next thing that he does is after her reaction, which is like, I don't want to talk about it no more. I was like, what, Bree? Like, yo, like, what? Listen, I don't want to talk about it no more. Like, moving like a mad spoilt princess. I don't want to talk about it no more. It's like, okay, cool. So now I've said I don't want to talk about it no more. We don't talk about it no more. So,
I feel like I don't want to talk about it anymore.
up to you what you do, I don't care. Right? And that's the spoiled princess in her, which is why the parents were saying, and this is why I said the word bossy, whatever you want to call it, controlling, bossy, whatever you want to call it, I don't even care anymore. But let me be very frank with you, this is why they said she was bossy. It's stuff like this. An inability to be able to see that sometimes your actions are not what you perceive them to be. Now, my honest thing is this, his reaction at the end, immature. Absolutely immature. Whilst I agree that she did not acknowledge the impact of what she done, it shouldn't get you to a point where you walk out the house, take your stuff and say, I'm going, I can always go home.
I can always go back home.
Because that's got nothing to do with pain, well, it has, but it's got nothing to do with trying to get her to understand. It's all about trying to wrestle power from her. And that has no place in a healthy relationship. When you're trying to wrestle power, that's got nothing to do with a healthy relationship no more. Stay hydrated. Because that's what he was doing. At that point, when he decided to say, oh, I'm going to go home, that you're trying to make her feel bad and try to manipulate her into going, oh, don't go anywhere, stay. Sir, no. Don't do that. And again, that's something that women often, this is often what you see from women rather than men. I say immature women, I should say, even not even men, women, immature women that you hear that from, right? So that was about wrestling power. So the fact that you took your bag and went home when this is your home, you're moving mad, sir. I've got to call you out on that. I'm sorry. I'm with you. I understand that I felt like she did some things that weren't correct, but you don't get to now walk out the house with your bag and say, I'm going home. Excuse me? Bruv, it's okay. Take some time, go for a walk. Fine, come back in a few minutes. Fine, come back in an hour. Let your partner know, listen, I need an hour to reset myself right now. Let me go. But you ain't about to now go to your mom's house. You understand? Like, no, that's not correct. Or going to your actual house that you have. Nah. Come on, man. No. It's not about that life. That's not how we do it, man. You're trying to humble her in that moment, and that's not the way to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, communicate. Let her know you can let someone know by drawing your boundaries without having to leave the place. You know what I'm saying? She's your partner after all, and I don't think she's trying to genuinely try to hurt you. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. We'll drop a part 2, but it won't be in this format. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification up. Lows, we appreciate you. Stay locked and stay loaded.